Hello, my fellow sky watchers, stargazers, lover of the celestial mysteries. This is Tammy Brunk of Astrology for Earth Renewal, and I am just wanting to speak to the magic of the night sky here in August of 2019. I'll be doing other live videos to give a forecast for the month, just based on all of the alignments. But I just was struck by how much is happening in the night sky this month. It is phenomenal. So, I was just thinking about how there is so much noise. There's so much happening now in the world at large, and we all, we tend, those of us who are connected to the celestial mysteries, to the as above, so below mysteries, those of us who have a deep, deep love for the earth and sky, many of us are feeling pretty down these days when we get really caught into what's happening on the global stage. I know today I was reading an article about an indigenous leader in the Brazilian rainforest and who had just been assassinated. And what's happening in Brazil right now is truly devastating. So if anyone who's listening, if you want to turn your attention to that as well in terms of something to send prayers for and raise awareness of. There are groups in the Amazon right now, indigenous groups that are very much under pressure because of the current regime is really empowering and enabling gold mining and other extractive practices in their tribal forests and their reserves. So I was reading that today, and that's really in the front of my mind. But there are so many things that are happening right now that can be very disheartening. And so, it's my belief that it's important for each of us to find where we're called, where we can make a difference. Sometimes in small ways, sometimes in big ways. I might find that, for example, this morning I was just considering, there's so much that we in our communities are already doing to really create a new culture. And sometimes I find other people around me who are healers, who are those individuals who are really trying to live life in a good way, kind of outside of the usual framework. And sometimes they're really struggling. So I try to offer support in various ways. So in any case, there's much to turn our attention to in terms of being part of the kind of grounded healing support for the larger community that's grounding a new culture, a new way of being. And I do believe also that part of this has to do with us opening to a broader perspective and connecting in ways that truly open our hearts and open us up to perspectives and truths that are timeless, that are ageless. And so that's part of why I, as an individual who comes with a background as an environmentalist, as an advocate for Indigenous rights, and truly at the base, someone for whom care of Earth is primary, has over a decade of my life dedicated myself to the celestial mysteries and to remembering these ancient arts of how it is that we can work with the celestial mysteries and understand them as a way to kind of see the bigger picture of what's unfolding around us. So I wanted to specifically just now speak to what's happening in the sky that we can connect with and visibly see, and also to bring forward that understanding that there are some things we can see and there are some things that are hidden, that are very potent, that are happening, and to also use that as just to remind us of that. What we see on the surface, what we see on the world stage is not the whole story. It's not the whole picture. There's a lot that's hidden that we cannot see. Often what's interesting is it's right in front of our noses. If we're really paying attention to what's happening in our own communities, yes, it's very real to tap into the where the struggles lie, and yet it's also so essential to see all the bright new, all the ways that we're coming together and waking up and doing that. And we need each other, and we need that. So speaking to the night sky, however, this is also something that connects us, whether you live in Africa or in Mexico or here in the US. We are connected by the moon, by the stars, by the planets. So August is going to be a spectacular month. My love of the sky was born during the August Perseid meteor showers. So again, this is something that we can connect around as community globally. We can tune in, and I really do very much believe that when we tune in this way and we spend time with the stars, with the planets, the sun and the moon, really opening into insights and revelations and knowledge, ancient knowledge that can come through for us by doing that, then it also opens us to broader understandings that we can bring into whatever other facets of our lives we are wanting to heal, grow, change, transform. So I want to speak to, first of all, the sun and the moon, which are the new moon is going to be exact Wednesday evening. It's about 8:20 p.m. Pacific time. It's exact. So that's when the sun and the moon come together. So now we're really in that dark phase of the moon time. Even though if you were to spend the night out under the stars tonight, which I recommend, you might see the little tiny crescent moon in the morning sky. I know I've been going out and seeing it, and it's just gorgeous. But it's nearly the dark of the moon time. So this is really such a time for ceremony, for taking space, for doing the deeper inner work. And the sun and the moon are in, the moon is in Cancer right now. The sun is already in Leo, but the new moon will be in Leo, and it will be with the beehive cluster or Precipice, which is the heart of the crab constellation. So this new moon is special in a lot of ways, and I'll be talking more about the new moon specifically in other live feeds. But just to begin with what's happening in the sky, what we can see, what we can't see. Know when you are working with sunrise on Wednesday, and actually more like sunset, I guess, when you're working with the sun Wednesday night and Thursday morning, that the sun and the moon will be very close, and they're very close to Precipice, the heart of the crab constellation. And among many other things, that word Precipice means manger or crib, and also, again, the beehive cluster. So what we can see is the sun. What we can't see is the moon very close to the sun. What we can't see is the beehive cluster. What I see, what I tune into when I work with the beehive cluster and when I see it show up in people's charts, is that it is this medicine that we can use to remind ourselves that we are, in fact, this is a very Leo understanding. We are, in fact, the bee, the queen bee at the center of the hive, in a sense. We are what's sweet. This is, the Leo mysteries have to do with really deepening into this recognition of the sweetness within ourselves, the divinity that lives inside. And so if we can see ourselves as the bee, we can see our own essence as the sweetness of life and really be in that. And then recognize that we have an imagine and a vision. I actually like to do this as an exercise about energetic boundaries, that it's as if we are then surrounded by this protective kind of boundary that is comprised of, again, you think about the bees in a beehive. That's one meditation I use to just say, the bees are very peaceful. They're very, very peaceful, unless there's some kind of a threat. In that case, they're not. So this is just one way to perceive of the beehive cluster, is that you are at the center of your universe. You be centered in that and the sweetness of who you are, and then allow yourself to be guided and protected by this kind of force field of bee medicine. So that's one way to work with the beehive cluster. I also like to conceive of it as, considering it's the manger or the crib, that this time with the new moon there is empowering us to awaken the Christ light within, or our own, to allow the tension of the opposites that's been so alive, that's been so dynamic, that's been so intense for so many of us, to really create a fertile space for something new to emerge and be birthed within us. And that's a theme that I'm seeing through the whole month of August. So that's a little bit about the new moon. And I'm kind of focusing on what we can see in the sky. So that's the sun, what you can see, this beautiful summer sun here in the north, winter sun down in the south. And so then Mercury, at the time of the new moon, again on Wednesday, Mercury is going to be stationing. It's going to be stationing direct after 3 weeks, traveling retrograde from straddling the signs of Leo and Cancer. So it's possible that you could see it on the horizon in the morning sky. It's unlikely, but it's possible you could see Mercury in the morning sky as early as Wednesday, Thursday morning. But if you were to see that, you would see that it's actually aligned with Pollux, which is a star in the Twins constellation. So there are many very significant stars that are being aspected, beginning with that. Mercury, it emerges as it's stationing and direct and completing that portion of its cycle with Pollux, which is a very significant star in the sky. Then you have Venus and Mars, which again, now consider, I really highly recommend working with the sunrises and sunsets right now. And if you can, learn to practice sun gazing in a very safe way. This is something that you can research a little more. I would say the safest way to do it is to, as soon as possible after the sun rises or before it sets. Certainly within an hour, but more like within 15, 20 minutes. So it is possible for you to actually look at the sun for up to, I would say, 5 seconds, to be very, very careful. But in any case, it may be even better to soften your view and just connect with the sun. And when you do connect with the sun in the morning and the evening, just know again that Venus and Mars are now kind of straddling that sun. They're with the sun now, and they will be conjunct near the heart of the sun, August 24th. So that's a main feature of the summer and of right now. So Venus and Mars are conjunct, and again, they're doing more of that, the alchemy of opposites, and helping us. So many of us have felt the tension of the different areas of our lives that are in complete opposition, or that are not the parts of the self that are not in communication. And Venus and Mars coming together, we can truly dream into and energize the possibility that those things are those masculine, feminine, yang, yin energies. This month, it's about them really, those energies being illuminated and creating a field where we can come into greater inner harmony and resonance. And again, as within, so without. This is the medicine that we see in the sky. It's happening out there, it's happening within, and it's potentially happening on the global stage when we engage with it in that way. These things can all happen at the same time. So that's Venus, Mars. We're not seeing them, but they're in the heart of the sun now. And again, that's a major feature for this summer. We also have Jupiter. I find what Jupiter's doing to be extremely fascinating. That's a huge feature of August, is that Jupiter and Uranus are going to be stationing direct and retrograde on the same day. So we've got this very interesting energy between Jupiter and Uranus that's happening. Those are two very, very large energies, very expansive energies. And but where Jupiter is located, because we can see Jupiter. Jupiter is that beautiful, brilliant star you see up in the sky now. That's it's up pretty high in the east already when you look to the east. Jupiter is above Jupiter. You could see Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, or that great figure in the sky with the snake, the great dream healer. So there's a lot of this dreaming medicine, this visioning medicine that can come through. But also Jupiter is within 6 degrees of Antares, the heart of the Scorpion constellation, which is the gateway to galactic center. So when you're looking at Jupiter, you're very close to the center of the galaxy, and you're also quite close to the heart of the Scorpion. So just to say, there's so much heart energy this month. We have the new moon with the heart of the Crab constellation, this just coming up in 2 days. We have Jupiter almost all month within 6 degrees of Antares, the heart of the Scorpion constellation. And then we also have Venus and Mars on August 24th coming together near Regulus, the heart of the Lion constellation. So again, this is the heart, is the place where the union of opposites happens. And so again, what I've been doing lately is I've been remembering the practice of self-Reiki. And I would recommend for anybody who hasn't received any Reiki training, honestly, this month would be an amazing time just to get level 1. And what's so potent about that is that it basically gives you the tools to begin with yourself, and to begin by offering Reiki. And what that is just the laying on of hands, which is opening. It opens you, it attunes you to the loving flow of grace, of energy in the universe. And I've just done this the last couple of days, and it's really helped me drop into my heart. And if you've already done it and you forgot about it, maybe remember that practice again. It's a really wonderful time to just get you connected and plugged into the stream of grace, of love that animates this universe. Because there are many other channels that you can be connected to right now, and my perspective is that that's the one that we want to be attuned to. That's the one we want to be radiating into the world right now. So there's Jupiter, and also so much going on with Jupiter. So Jupiter is near Antares, but the point where it's exactly poised for much of August is aligned to this mysterious point in the sky that can be referred to as the Great Attractor, or I think the more recent term is Shapley's supercluster. And it's this point in the sky that is, astronomers aren't exactly sure what it is, but it's some kind of a massive force that is pulling our galaxy toward it at a rapid pace. So when I think of this medicine, to me, Jupiter's in Sagittarius at this point in the sky near Antares. Whatever it is, when I see the Great Attractor, it's kind of like this is the place of where we're needing the greatest integrity, meaning that we're needing to, and this has to do with Sagittarius, it has to do with our spiritual beliefs, it has to do with our worldview. There are a lot of us at this point where we're really taking out a lot of new information from many areas. And from my perspective, the leading edge right now is to be stepping into spiritual sovereignty, meaning that we claim responsibility for, you could say, curating whatever our inner spiritual authority. And so part of this has to do with recognizing that it's a good thing to kind of question our base assumptions. And it's also a good thing to kind of return to core values, principles, spiritual understandings that are maybe kind of universal, that, principles like of human kindness, of inclusivity, these kinds of things. And from my perspective, there is a neutrality in a sense with the Great Attractor energies where whatever you're focusing on does amplify. Jupiter already has that effect of making bigger whatever it touches. And then it's with the Great Attractor. So there's this kind of this magnetization or amplification of the medicine that we're offering. And so there's just this need to really attune to the universal principles, spiritual principles that really work. And I'm not going to just say higher vibration, because I also feel when there's an activation of Antares, because that we've got there the heart of the Scorpion constellation. And when I feel into that, that's conjunct my Mercury. I feel that to be this kind of coming together of the energies of Sagittarius, which is more about that higher vibrational spiritual awareness, and also the Scorpion constellation, which is not the same thing as Scorpio, but it carries some similar connotations. And so from my perspective, there is still this medicine around sacred sexuality, around the right use of will and personal power. So from my perspective, part of that also has to do with, when I've been feeling into what this is about with spiritual sovereignty and authority, personal spiritual authority and integrity, it has as much to do with being honest and real about the shadow that is cast by the light, as it is to want to step into the light in the vibration of love and unity and all those things. It's to hold as kind of a beacon that we want to live into and uplift ourselves and each other into these higher ways of being. And yet we also understand that in the path of getting there, it's absolutely necessary that this great light is illuminating what's been in shadow. It's illuminating the places where parts of ourselves have been ignored, neglected, abused, parts of our beautiful planet, universe, some of those in our communities have been ignored, neglected, abused. It's happening in here, it's happening out there. That true spiritual authority and sovereignty has to do with, in some sense, learning to mend that split that's been so tragic, where there's a part of us that wants to only live in the light and happiness and joy and bliss, but isn't willing to bring our tenderness and our presence to the places where there is suffering or pain or those qualities we don't want to look at. There's so many ways to talk about this, but so from my perspective, there is just this need. I know for myself, again, I've been practicing Reiki, again, going back to fundamentals. I've been going back to just daily prayer and meditation, more of a practice of that. I know many of you probably are with me here, and knowing if you offer your services as a healer, as any form of counselor or guide, you will know that there are many people now who are in need of powerful prayers. So again, it's for us to be fine-tuning ourselves as these instruments through which love and truth can transmit. And so I would encourage you to know you're not alone, that we're all in this together. Spend some time with Under the Night Sky. It will recharge you. What I've been doing is I've been sleeping on the ground under the sky. I've done it a couple times in the last couple of weeks, and it feels great. I'm going to try to do it tonight again. And what it does is it connects you, and it just completely re-grounds your field, and it opens your heart also, spending time with the earth. So these are just a few things I wanted to speak to. I was beginning this just wanting to talk about what's happening in the sky, and then it kind of got into some other areas because none of these things are disconnected. When I can just talk about the sky but not talk about our human experience, and then again I'm furthering the split. So but I do want to speak to a couple of other things in terms of why I would recommend spending time under the sky. Another is there are two meteor showers that are happening right now, the Eta Aquarids, I hope I'm saying that right, and the Perseids. And both of those really you can see through much of August. The Perseid meteor showers, which are brighter in the northern hemisphere, are going to be peaking around the 10th or 11th of August, or the 12th. But that's when the moon is also almost full. So even now, if you go out between midnight and the early morning sky, local time, you will most likely see some good meteor showers, even beginning now. And it's good now because of the dark of the moon. The Eta Aquarids for our southern friends are more prominent right now, and you should be able to see those also in the next couple of weeks. So, those it's just the time for meteor showers. So then also another phenomenon is that we have Sirius is at heliacal rise. Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. I am in love with Sirius. If you ever watch Sirius in the sky, it's just this beautiful twinkling. It's just all these colors of blue, white, just flashing beautiful colors. Sirius is a gorgeous, gorgeous star. And to the Egyptians, it was the beginning when Sirius first appeared as morning star, basically, before sunrise. This was, it would have been when around summer solstice, it's about 5,000 years ago. That was when the Nile would be flooding. And so that was the beginning of their calendric year, was when Sirius was first appearing in the morning sky. So it's very significant. More recently, Jose Arguelles, anyone who follows kind of the 13 moon calendar, which is a kind of a syncretic or an eclectic spiritual system that derives from the Mayan cosmology, and also has other elements that come from more European and kind of a new spirituality. Jose Arguelles put as they in the 13 moon calendar, the July 25th is the day out of time. So it's kind of the end of the calendar. It's a day between the beginning and the new, or the old calendar and the new calendar. And part of what marked that time was that in Mayan lands, like at about 19 degrees latitude, that's when you begin to see Sirius visible at those latitudes before the sun rises. So now, depending on your latitude, I actually put in a link here that will show you, based on your latitude, about what day you'll begin to see Sirius in the morning sky. And for me, I'm at about 38 degrees latitude, and so it's going to be about August 8th. I think that's part of why I love the Perseids so much, is because Sirius is a major star in my chart. And for my latitude, Sirius begins to appear in the morning sky around the same time as the Perseids peak. In any case, this is a powerful time visibly in the sky because we start to see Sirius in the morning sky. And one other thing I'll say is we also have Saturn, which when you look at Saturn, again, there's what you can see and there's what you can't see. Saturn continues to be very close to the South Node and Pluto in Capricorn and remains, I keep saying this because to me it just blows my mind, that they remain within about 5 degrees of each other. Actually, I think they're a little bit further than that, but they are still in a cycle where they're quite close. And this is a cycle now where those three in this Capricorn council were within 5 degrees for the first time in 2,200 years in the sign of Capricorn. So, you can see Saturn in the sky now, and it's aligned with Vega, which was at one time our North Star and has a lot of significance as well. But when you look at Saturn, know that not too far from Saturn is also Pluto and this point in the sky that you cannot see, but that has potency, which is the South Node. So, and those points in the sky have to do with this deeper kind of ancestral healing, cultural healing that we're doing, that I really credit to a lot of the intensity that we see and feel around us right now, because whatever it is that we are personally experiencing, we can know that it's not ours alone. Not only are there other humans, other individuals who are also going through the same challenge, but our ancestors most likely experienced this in some way that may have been much more dramatic, maybe not, maybe it's just as dramatic or more so for you. But that this is an opportunity to, when I talked about spiritual principles, for example, of inclusivity, to include more tenderness, more kindness, more of a sense of connectedness to our ancestral lineages, and also to ask about our deeper lineages in many other ways. And I'm going to want to do a live feed here soon, maybe the next time that the moon is with Saturn and this Capricorn confluence, about the concept of lineage, because to me that feels really important right now. What is our spiritual, cultural lineage, and how do we tap into that? So if you think that's an interesting topic, then let me know. Okay, so, and now I'm not always reading my comments because I don't do this very much, but I appreciate everybody who's been listening, and appreciate the little notes from people. And yes, thank you, Bobby. We're all connected. I'm sure I'm missing other little notes, but I'm just gonna complete there and just wish you all a beautiful night. And I'll be doing more of these on August because it's a spectacular month. But just spend some time under the night sky. It's quite spectacular. All right.